Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Esteban Hours Week in Review, where we engage in opinionated talk on this week's current events and breaking news. How you doing today? Well, we hope that you're going to have a great week. And if you woke up today to the sun rising, it's a good day. All right. So, what we're going to get into today. Always drama going around the world, right? Especially in our country. We're going to discuss a little on the king's coronation. How did that go down? And the drama associated with it. Some of it unnecessary, in my opinion. Then we have another shooting, and multiple shootings since this one, by the way. But we have this shooting that happened in Texas that killed five people, including an 8-year-old boy. Innocent people murdered for no good reason. We'll discuss that. Looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene is back in the news. Apparently, she doesn't know what Pornhub is and wants to do away with it or dismantle it. I don't know. And who really cares? But Russia. Russia believes Ukraine tried to assassinate Putin overnight. Okay. My response is so. Then we have the GOP's debt ceiling bill that they passed. I don't recall anything in there having to do with decreasing anything that has to do with people who have money. But on the contrary, programs being cut or decreased for those who don't have money, including veterans. I mean, go figure. Have you heard that President Biden is running for re-election? How do you feel about that? Then we have the North Carolina legislative body. One of the Democrats switched to Republican, uh, allowing the Republicans to take a majority, passing an abortion banning bill. Now, this person was just voted in this past election cycle, which was what, 6, 7 months ago? So it makes you think, was this part of their plan? Was this in their plan? They knew that no one would probably vote straight out for a Republican, so let me pretend I'm a Democrat, and then I'll switch. I don't know. My opinion. Then we have the E. Jean Carroll sexual lawsuit against Donald Trump, which I believe just ended, even though Donald Trump was given um, the opportunity to testify in his behalf, but missed the deadline, which was set at 5 p.m. this past Sunday, and did not. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. All right, but before we do that, let's bring in our friend Jeremy Baker to the show. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, man. It's good to be back. And oof, I'm ready. I'm heated. Let's do this. Let's
It's good
verbally
to have you
dismantle
back.
some people. Hey, thanks, man.
I see you're quite enthusiastic about today's week in review.
Yeah, definitely. I've been watching it pretty close on all these topics, and man, some of the stuff that's come up in the last couple of days has got me just hurting inside. So I'll get into that,
I hear
especially
you.
like with the. Uh,
I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so let's start with King Charles III officially being crowned um, this past weekend, and the hype of it all. Um, I think it's cool. it's part of Britain's heritage, and many people around the world um, engage in seeing what's going on with the monarchy. But are everyone happy, or does everyone engage in what's happening with the monarchy? It seems as though, according to statistics, those over the age of 40 still engage heavily, but a lot of young people now, in today's times, are not so interested. What do you think?
I think it's a tradition that, I mean, it's mostly ceremonial anymore. The only thing I found interesting on the whole ceremony was Katy Perry trying to find her seat. Other than that,
Yeah,
it's like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And she probably would have found it sooner had she not had that hat on. But, it is what her style is, what it is. I'm not into fashion, so I don't know But I mean, really, in America, we have enough of our own problems right now. Like, who gives a shit, really? Who cares who is the king or the queen or whatever? It's not like they do anything to help us out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really, the royal family doesn't exactly have the best track record. Let's not forget they invented colonialization of, yeah, you know what I mean? They're responsible for the colonies. So yeah, I don't.
Which is true, because it is a fact that their family line had slaves, right?
Oh, I mean, that was Meghan Markle did an interview, and for some reason she was surprised about how racist the royal family really was. And I don't know why she found that surprising. If you look at it, just look at the lineage, and you can pretty much establish. But I mean, it's a lot of tradition, a lot of. To me, it looks like a lot of wasted money on a ceremony for somebody that really has limited to no power in England at the moment. I mean, they're there mostly for ceremonial purposes, and they go. They might travel to other countries for humanitarian reasons or anything like that, but that's about it. That's really about it. So I mean, but it's tradition. What do we have to say about tradition? It's not like we have the best history ourselves, so can't really talk much about the British at the same time.
I'm sorry, I had lost you for a second there. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
did you really? More tech problems.
Okay, go ahead.
You want me to start over? I was already talking the whole time.
Oh, no, 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 no. We heard
Oh,
what you said.
oh no.
So
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it.
I thought it was hilarious that the drama of it had to do with Katy Perry. She couldn't find her seat. I
I
thought
know,
that
right?
was ridiculous.
And that's what we
I
focus
also
on.
thought I also thought it was ridiculous that they made such a big deal on Harry, where he was sitting, who he came in with. I think I even noticed that they had one of those lip interpreters that was interpreting what he was saying, and
Oh,
he was
really?
just saying something like "Good morning, how you doing?" I
Hmm.
mean, is that newsworthy?
No, that is not newsworthy. There's a lot more important stuff going on than him saying hi, hello, how are you? You know what I mean? I mean,
I
what?
mean,
But
I'm saying.
you must. It's like getting Willy Wonka's golden ticket, getting born into the royal family. I mean, really, you get born into the royal family, you're cool. You don't have to worry about anything. Well, they
Well,
don't pay taxes. They inherit massive amounts of wealth. They don't have a job, really. They chill at Buckingham Palace and then travel all over the world and do whatever they want. They live the life. That's all they do. I mean, but hey, it's like winning the lottery. It's like winning the Powerball, being born into the royal family. What do they do? Nothing. They chill. You
well, I
don't
mean,
even hear from
I
them
will
hardly.
say, in their defense, for humanitarian reasons, they do a lot of um, humanitarian work, and they do try to give back to the communities. There are still many folks that are interested in the monarchy, and they try to lend their support. It may not
Well,
be
it
to everyone's expectations, but go ahead.
no, I mean, they made I just can't believe how big of a deal they still make of it. That's all. I
Right,
understand it's a change of. It's not like it's a change of power. It's just a change of whoever sits in that seat.
right.
It's not. It's. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't. Not in
So
2023.
I was reading some updates on it, and it looks like that Queen Camilla, which I have a little of a problem in enunciating that, Queen Camilla. When I'm from the Princess Diana days.
Oh yeah, now you're showing your age. I'll do that. I'll do that.
That's true. I would have loved to hear Queen Diana, but hey.
I
Anyway,
mean, people loved her. People loved Princess Diana, man. She was an icon back in the day. She really
yeah,
was, man. People were really upset when she passed away.
yeah. I still remember where I was the day that the news came in. I remember
I
that.
don't. I
I
do not.
remember that. It was late at night when the news broke on the radio and national television.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody
So
was everybody, even in
I
the United States, people were upset.
yeah,
They took
she
it
was
hard.
beloved. She was beloved everywhere.
She was.
So um, there's some talk about that Queen Camilla has been very upset with King Charles over inviting Prince Harry to the coronation. And when I read that, first of all, the king's response was he was annoyed of the harassment and disrespect that he felt from her. I read up that there's been a lot of arguing going on at the dinner table lately, and things have been rocky. But Queen Camilla agrees with Prince William that Prince Harry should not have been invited. And King Charles is tired of being second guessed on his decisions as the king, which he has a right to feel that way, doesn't he?
I guess I don't know. I got to look more into it. It's just it's hard for me to be invested in family squabbles of super rich people. Like, you know what I mean? As a dirt poor American, I could I could care less what rich people are doing at this
How
moment.
how did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, I don't care if Queen Camilla stabs King whatever his name in the eye with a fork at the dinner table. That would be more entertaining to me than what they are arguing about who attends a dinner. I could care less. I mean, seriously.
I hear you.
Oh my God.
I hear you. I hear you. So, with that note, we'll move on.
Yeah, let's do that. Perfect way to end that subject right there.
Right. Okay. So, you heard about this Texas man who
Oh
shot
God.
5 people, right? And
Okay.
so the story goes that he's known for shooting his gun. Okay, I
Hmm.
believe another AR-15, and um, I think 2 gentlemen from the house next door came out and asked him if he would shoot on the other side of the house because family members were sleeping. They didn't ask him to stop because it's his property and it's within his rights, but they
Yeah.
asked him to go a little bit so that to drown the sound out. And anyways, he came back later and shot up the place and just started shooting people, including his wife and 8-year-old son. How sad and devastating is this?
We've had more mass shootings this year than there have been days in this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
America is
yeah,
now famous for violence and mass shootings. That's what we're famous for. Other countries actually warn you, Like New Zealand does it, Canada does it, and a bunch of other countries. If you're traveling to the United States, one of the threats to look out for is now mass shootings. So that is what we are famous for. So if you want to come to America and visit, you're told to be careful for maniacs with AR-15s running around trying to kill a bunch of people. Now, yesterday,
Isn't that sad?
I'm actually glad we had technical problems yesterday because I looked more into the latest mass shooting in the mall. And the guy who did the mall mass shooting and killed all those people and hurt all those people, this is no longer just a bunch of individuals that are lashing out and angry at the system or whatever and defending their distorted dystopian version of patriotism. This is a group, okay? The guy that is at the mall shooting had SS and swastika tattoos. And on his gear, there is a freaking badge that says RWDS, which stands for Right Wing Death Squad. Okay?
Yes.
They also...
Many, they even went back and brung out pictures from the January 6th riot and before that show many of those participants that had that same.
But I want people, because the next one is even worse, and this is the one. This is why I'm bringing this up, because this is hard to talk about it because it includes some very horrible ways of looking at things. Because they wear a badge that says 6MWE, okay, 6MWE, which stands for 6 million wasn't enough. Now they're referring to the Holocaust and the massacre of 6 million Jews with that patch. That patch says they don't think killing 6 million Jews was enough. That's the type of people we are dealing with.
Interesting.
That patch will show up as well. Keep an eye out for that one, because we are no longer dealing with just angry individuals. These guys are forming a group. And unfortunately, they are more united than the rest of us, the ones of us that believe in the United States and democracy and the Constitution, and the ones of us that use logic and critical thinking in order to evaluate a situation. We need to be more united than them. But right now, these maniacs are embracing. All right, so just because in World War II, just because Hitler died, his ideals and his strategies of propaganda, they didn't die with him. Okay, we are looking at the beginning. If we don't control this, this will be the Fourth Reich happening in America.
Right.
I promise you, this is the beginning of it.
And these same folks are actually propping up Adolf Hitler. They are actually saying he was good.
They're embracing Nazism.
Are we in the Twilight Zone?
But see, this is why I say these harsh things, and it's hard for me to say these things, but they are true. And people need to hear people like me and you say these things because they are reality. And we cannot we can no longer turn a blind eye to groups like this that exist. They're willing to sacrifice everything and everybody to get their way. I mean, at what point do we label MAGA a terrorist organization? How much more people have to die before these right-wing nut jobs are labeled a terrorist group? Plain and simple. That's what they are. They are domestic terrorists.
Right. That's right. I mean, many would beg to differ, right? But how could you not say terrorism?
I mean, this is what it is. These are targeted acts. Okay, these people plan this stuff out. It's not. Before, it was a lot of people just breaking. You know what I mean? Mentally can't handle it anymore. They broke. Society has completely snapped these people, and they go out and they kill people as a result. They've accepted their life is over, because that's basically a suicide mission. If you want a mass shooting, you've basically accepted one of two realities. Either you're going to die or you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. So how do you deal with somebody that's mentally clocked out and made their mind up that this is how they're going to do it?
And how do you stop these shootings are so prevalent today. They're happening so frequently. It's like, before you go out now, you have to say a prayer. Whether you're going to the movie theater, the supermarket, school, church, the playground, you've got to say a prayer. Or, if you don't believe in prayers, you just got to hope that you're going to come home. Everyone, from
Yeah.
adults to children. What kind of a world is that to live in?
And of course, the cop out is always mental health. It's the first thing you hear. Oh, he
Right.
had mental health problems. I have mental health problems. I'm not homicidal or suicidal. That's a cop out. Okay, these people
Absolutely.
are.
The majority
You,
of folks that are suffering from mental health do not go and take their AR 15s and go shoot up
no,
a church or a school.
this is
So
a
to
mental
blame
health
it on,
issue,
on,
but
on mental health and not the people, they keep bypassing the person and say it's mental health that's causing these things to happen. Maybe so, but it's the people that are doing them with the gun that you are providing legally for them to
right
exercise their mental health deficiency on everyone else, on every
now,
other innocent soul.
Republicans would like you to believe that there's something called the woke mind virus, and maybe there is. There's an extreme part of the left that possibly is just too far. You know what I mean? But no, they call it the woke mind virus. But nobody's talking about something I would like to propose as the MAGA mind virus. These people are infected, mentally manipulated, brainwashed into believing they are doing the right thing for this country. That is what these guys believe to their core. They think everybody's wrong. Trump didn't do anything wrong, and they think he's the perfect person to give nuclear codes to. That is insane. Are you out of your mind? What are you smoking that you want to give President or former president, never to, again to be president, Donald Trump, access to nuclear weapons? That is scary. I mean, he
You
would
know,
probably nuke Mexico. You know what I mean? That's how dumb the
and
guy
you
is. I mean,
and Ukraine,
yeah, and Ukraine. He'd help. Yeah.
because
And then he
Putin is
puts
his
out
boy.
a.
But
Yeah.
I I don't understand how many on the right continue to hide behind the Second Amendment, broadcasting that Democrats are trying to take away our guns. No, they're not. There are millions of Democrats who are gun owners. I am a gun owner. I think Democrats, just the same as Republicans, will fight as hell if someone or if the government was to try to take away their guns or take away their Second Amendment right. It is not that at all. It is, why are there so many guns in the street? Why are our guns so easily able for folks to get their hands on? Why are red flag laws bad? Why is background checks wrong?
Right.
I don't understand. If you
No,
ask
and
for a background check or a red flag law, that means you want guns taken away. You want the Second Amendment right taken away. What logic or sense does that make?
it shouldn't be as easy to buy a gun as it is getting groceries. I mean, you could buy groceries and get a gun in the same amount of time, about an hour. And they ask you questions on there like, do you take any Schedule 1 narcotics? Who's going to say yes to that question, first of all? Yeah, sure, I take Schedule 1 drugs. Can I have my gun now? You know what I mean? That's dumb. And because
Right.
of, you know, and I can't personally, like, I'm pro Second Amendment, but I can't buy a gun because I smoke weed. And cannabis is it's medically, it's legal in Pennsylvania, but because it's a Schedule 1 narcotic still, which is ridiculous, I can't buy a gun because I'm honest. And I have a state ID card too. But there's also questions on there. Do you have any mental health problems? Have you ever been hospitalized for mental illness? Who's going to say yes again to that question? And they don't have any way of verifying that you do.
Right. I was just
They're
about
going
to
by
say
the
that.
honor system on somebody that's going to buy. I mean, come on.
Right.
Regulations
And
work.
and that same person who may be about to go shoot up a church or a school, what kind of honor do they have in the system? Are they actually going to tell the truth? They're
I
there
mean, yeah,
for a motive. They have a motive of why they're there, to buy that gun that they're about to do something bad with. How does the government expect that person to tell the truth?
there has to be way more involved. And let's keep in mind when the Second Amendment was written, a trained soldier could fire 3 rounds a minute with a muzzle loader. You know what I mean? With a musket.
Right.
Now, any idiot with a trigger finger can pop off 30 rounds in 30 seconds.
Right. I was about to say,
Because
you said
I mean,
back then
even
it
though
was
they're
three rounds a
semi-automatic,
minute. Right now it's 3 rounds a second.
the Second Amendment was supposed to be updated over time to keep up with the technology of weapons in war. It was never supposed to be a permanent thing. It needs to be updated. It needs to be amended once and for all in the Constitution. What kind of weapons a civilian can own? They need to define what arms is. Because technically, a BB gun is arms. A catapult,
Right.
arms. I can throw a catapult in my front yard. Second Amendment. You know what I mean? Uh, Chemical weapons or arms. Those are, you know what I mean?
Right.
Anything that's a weapon can be considered arms. So the government has to take responsibility and stop leaving it up to the damn states, because we have idiots that run some of these states, like in Texas and Florida.
I was just going to bring up as well. Speaking of state, the state of Texas, its governor recently came out and was quick to blame the most recent shootings and all the ones in the past on mental health, right? But
Mhm.
this is the same governor that took out, I believe it was like $212 million from its budget that was allocated for
For
mental
mental health.
health. And there
The
was a
hypocrisy.
family that was interviewed from the Uvalde area, asked about, any changes, is anyone helping, and they said no. In fact, there's less help and support after the Uvalde situation than there was before. So what is the governor talking about? You're
Look,
blaming a
these,
situation that you're not given any financial help to to fix.
I mean, this country should be pouring money into two things: education and mental health. Those two things in our kids have got to be addressed, seriously addressed, because we're raising a generation of angry idiots. They're defunding schools. They're defunding mental health. They're defunding welfare. They're defunding this, defunding that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect? You're going to raise a nation of angry, stupid people. It's going to be like the movie
Right.
Idiocracy. I know you haven't seen it, but most people out there might understand that reference. I mean, we're coming so close to where we're de-evolving as a country. I didn't know that was
In fact,
possible.
I read there was a quote that had said it was a opinion that the entire nation is suffering from PSTD.
Yeah, I agree. Or PTSD. Yeah,
PSD, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I think so. Everybody's. I mean, trauma is trauma, whether it comes from physical or mental. And seeing hate, seeing anger, seeing death and violence in
Mm-hmm.
people that wear badges that not only don't deny the Holocaust or cost, seem to wish it was even worse. Like, yeah, seeing all that can traumatize people, and it puts a lot of fear into people, and fear is dangerous in a large group of people. Like, you can control fear in one individual. Like, if you were freaking out, I could talk to you and calm you down. But you start talking about hundreds of millions of people that are afraid, you can't control that. That's complete and utter chaos. So we have to be
Right.
able to stop this before it gets out of hand, if it's not already out of hand.
Right. Many Americans need help. They need help in finding someone to talk to, in relating their problems and dealing with their problems and getting over their problems. They need help. Many folks feel alone. They feel that sense of loneliness, that no one is there for them, that there's no one to depend on, no one to go to. And sometimes those feelings turn into um, negative actions. What can we do about this?
So there has to be, like, I always think talking about your problems is literally the best medicine. I mean, you can put yourself on medication all you want, but your problems are still going to exist unless you
I
deal with
agree.
your problems on an emotional level, not a chemical level, on an emotional level. And the best way to do that is to get whatever toxic thoughts are in your body out. It's like when you have an
I agree.
infection, your body tries to push all the toxic stuff out. Same way with your
Right.
thought. Toxic thoughts poison your brain. Get those thoughts out. I don't care if it's to your next door neighbor or a therapist.
Right.
Somebody needs to be able to sit down and talk to these people.
And and I have to say that was one of the reasons why we started the Esteban Hour podcast, because we realized that so many people have so much on their minds and in their hearts and souls, and they don't feel they have a source of release. Okay, I think if a lot of these bad people that have been arrested or killed for killing or whatever bad things, I think if you talk to them, they would probably say if they had that way out, if they had that help and support, whether it was financially or emotionally, mentally, perhaps they would not have gone to the extremes of the badness that they've done, the bad
Look,
actions. They wouldn't
look,
have gone to that point because they
I'll
found
speak from
other better avenues of release.
and I'll speak from the heart on this one. And I get emotional sometimes when I talk about this topic, but I've been in a place where I couldn't even see tomorrow. And when you're in a place where you don't even want to wake up the next day, that's a dark and lonely place, and that's hard to talk to people about stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, people don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, I'm thinking of hurting myself. Oh my god, get away from this guy, and he's gonna go crazy. You know what I mean?
right,
People don't want to take the time to just hear somebody out. But I was lucky. I had a couple people in my life, and my mom was my rock, who brought me back. And she just, no matter what I did, how bad I got, she was just always still there for me. And I was lucky to come back
right,
from what I came from because I had thought of hurting myself. You know what I mean? At one point in my life,
right,
you know, but the circumstances for everybody are different. Like, my wife had left me. I was hooked on pain medication. I lost my six-figure job because of it. You know what I mean? My life fell apart. And as a result, I went down a very, very dark path because I didn't want to feel the emotions I had. And that's why a lot of people do drugs. They don't want to feel, they want to mask those emotions, the guilt, the shame,
that's
the
right,
remorse, the regret.
that's right.
And
From
had
drugs
I
and
not had,
alcohol.
yeah, and had I had not somebody to bring me out of that darkness, I probably wouldn't be talking right now here on the show. I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I'd be dead right now. And that's how a
Well,
lot of people feel, though. I can actually empathize with how broken someone can feel inside because I have been
right.
there. It's a very scary, it's very lonely.
Thank you for thank you for sharing that, because it's important that people hear that there is a way out. You just gotta find it, and you need you need the strength, to want to see what's on the other side. That's why, when folks come to me to talk to me, and pour their hearts, so in the beginning I used to say, "What are they coming to me for?" What can I do? And I quickly changed my point of view on that. And
Mhm.
I let anyone who wants to talk to me, I let them talk to me, because you don't know what's going on in that person's mind, and you don't know if a few words of wisdom, of sympathy, of empathy might be exactly what they need at that moment. I used to say to myself, what do they want to talk to me about? But then I went to the opposite and said, if they're coming to me, then they must need someone to talk to. Then they must not have anyone to talk to. And so I found that it was prevalent to allow whoever who needs a voice, let them speak. Just let them speak. Hear them out. Whatever you say in return could do a world of good, or perhaps you can steer them in the right direction of where they can find help and support.
Absolutely. And I think we're at a time now where people need to realize we have to start talking about our problems. We have to start caring about one another's problems. We have to start lifting people up, not punching them down. Um, we have to do. We have to be better people, for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
It's all it is. We have to set an
yeah,
example for the world that we are not going to let this happen. We are going to overcome, and we're going to do it as a country. And I'm
yes.
talking about the 75% of the country that still believes in freedom and constitution and is tired of this. We're tired of it.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with a therapist or a psychiatrist
My
or
God, no.
anxiety medication or depression medication. There's nothing wrong with that.
Or weed. Hey, to me,
Okay.
I'm a cannabis over pharmaceutical kind of guy. So that's all. I
All
prefer
right.
all natural.
Let's move on.
All right, yeah.
So, uh your good friend Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Oh, my buddy.
my buddy.
You know, I will say this. I thought of this joke last night. The only two people in this country that don't know about Pornhub are Marjorie Taylor Greene and Amish. Other than that, every other individual, grandmas, kids, people that never been on Pornhub have heard of Pornhub. Oh my God. And I can't decide if I can't figure out if she's being serious or not. Like if she's being serious, she's about 17 years too late. 'Cause I think Pornhub's been around since like 2006,
You see,
2007.
I laugh because I don't think she's being serious. Like I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think she's being serious. I think she does know. Or perhaps maybe she's being not naive. But I think she's just saying these things to grab attention.
The only reason I think she honestly didn't know about Pornhub is the way she presented it, because she presented it like she discovered electricity. She's like, I found this website. Maybe you've heard of it. Pornhub. You know what I mean? And we're like, what? Did she just say Pornhub? Well, that's the only reason I think she honestly didn't know. I don't know. It's hard to
Or it
tell
could have
these
been an
with
act.
these. It could have been either way. It's ridiculous and stupid, and she's just getting less and less support. Even the MAGA Republicans, even the extreme ones, don't think she would. They think she would be poisoned as a vice president. So she's losing footing on every angle.
Well, it may seem that that's what she's going for.
I don't think we'll ever be rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene unless she gets hit by a bus, which I'm surprised she hasn't already. But
Stop
I don't think
it.
she'll ever be in politics again. I don't think she'll ever be in politics again after this term. I mean, even her own
Let's
district doesn't
see.
even like her anymore. So,
But she was voted
politically,
back in
she's.
for the second time with large numbers.
I know. Well, her district's predominantly white Republicans, so it's not exactly hard to figure out who was going to win that race. It's pretty
Well,
one-sided. You know what I mean? They could have picked a
we shall
better
see what happens
Republican,
in
but
2024.
I call her Captain Crazy Pants because that woman is psychotic. Now, you want to talk about mental health? She needs to be like on lithium or Prozac or Seroquel or something. Like this woman needs to be on some kind of medication. That's the mental health issues right there. Margie Taylor Greene is the advertisement for mental health issues. Like pharmaceutical people should have drugs. Are you crazy? Take this and then just have a picture of her with a pill. Like, yay. You know what I mean? Like that's how nuts this woman is. Oh,
All right, all right. Russia. They believe that some drones that were flying over their territory uh, came from Ukraine. in the middle of the night? What do you believe?
My thought on that was duh.
But you don't know, because Putin has enemies everywhere,
Well, look,
especially after being labeled
yep,
a
war
a
criminal.
criminal, a
Yeah,
war
he's
criminal.
been all right. So look, once you get labeled a war criminal, that gives any other country that wants to take him out pretty much it's open season on Putin. Putin can't leave Russia. If he does, or he has to go, you know what I mean? He's an enemy of the world right now. And let's keep in mind
Right.
that
He can
this
only
is
go
the
to
Hague.
friendly nations.
Right. So the International Criminal Court in the Hague labeled him a criminal, war criminal. So let's keep in mind that he's BFFs apparently with Trump, who is on the line for seditious conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like Trump's one of his buddies that they promote, that they root for, is a war criminal. And you have to do some god awful stuff to be labeled a war criminal. It's not like you just get labeled it because you're a dick. You get labeled a war criminal because you've done some of the worst atrocities against humankind. And Donald Trump and his cronies promote their agenda, promote their propaganda, take their money. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. Donald Trump took $8 million just to keep Truth Social alive from a Russian oligarch that was directly linked to Putin, a war criminal. And Trump is taking money to support his stupid ass social media website. That's what I'm talking about. But they tell their sheep, we are not involved with Russia. Biden's involved with Russia. Biden and Russia,
Right.
Russia, China, Biden. That's what they tell them. While
Right.
they feed their own pockets. And then, I mean, Russia even said that they thought maybe it was America that bombed them. Like, who cares? There was probably a lot of people there trying to bomb you right now. Nobody, I mean,
Right.
who's friends with
You
a
know,
war criminal?
when I first read that, I had the wow factor, because I'm like, dude, you're bombing residential buildings, you're killing children, families,
Yeah.
and you're doing it with your eyes closed.
Look,
What in the hell does anyone care about drones flying over your territory?
but look, what does he do? He goes onto the media and cries and whines and complains and points fingers. How familiar does that sound
I
to
was
what
just about
Donald
to say
Trump is doing? Yeah, exactly. That's why I said it. How familiar does that sound? Like just with the
Right.
E. Jean Carroll case that we were going to talk about. Same thing. I mean, I wish our episode would have went through yesterday without any problems, because we said yesterday Donald Trump's going to come back from Scotland and say, "Oh, they didn't let me speak. I came back to defend myself, and they closed the case before I could come back and face my accuser." No, you know what I mean? That's what he did. He
No.
goes on social media, whines and complains, exactly like Putin. Exactly.
Which, well, well, you brought it up, so let's discuss it. The E. Jean Carroll case. That is what he actually did when he got indicted. He knew that this case was circulating for months and for years. He went and announced he's running again for election, and then once he got indicted, he used the excuse that he's being indicted because he's running for re-election. But this case has been brewing for months, if not years already. So how do you blame you running for election when we all know that part of why he's running for election is to try to deflect from these lawsuits, these multiple lawsuits against him. But that was his excuse. So I agree with you. But the
It was all
judge
planned out, man.
was smart. He said he didn't want to testify, and the judge said, I'm going to give you 2-3 days to make
Yep.
sure that you've made up your mind.
That was a
Because you're
brilliant
not
move.
going to come back
Brilliant.
over here and say we were too quick to cut you off.
He still did, though.
And that's
He
what
still
he
said it.
did. He gave him till 5 p.m. on Sunday.
And we were so right, because it's exactly what Donald Trump said. He got on this True Social, or Lie Social, as I call it. Oh yeah, they didn't let me speak. Blah blah blah. The justice system's out there. It's rigged against me. I mean, come on. The guy didn't call a single witness. There was nobody there in his defense. And watching Joe Tacopina was like watching a dystopian version of My Cousin Vinny. Like, he looked like Vinny Gambini in reverse. Because remember, My Cousin Vinny, Vinny Gambini starts out as a horrible lawyer, ends up being a good lawyer at the end, saving the day. Joe Tacopina started out as a good lawyer, and then was just a complete disaster at the end of the trial. Like, his reputation and career has to be ruined by Donald Trump. I mean, he even said to the judge, I think you understand what I'm dealing with my client. I mean, he actually
Yes, he
said that to the
did.
judge. So Joe
Yes, he
Tacopina is
did.
even like, I can't do this. But it was an open and shut case. If he gets found not guilty, I have lost all faith in the justice system. Without calling a single witness, with no evidence to contradict what E.G. Carroll was saying, to me, even as
Well,
somebody who
there is
doesn't,
there is also the factor that these alleged actions were done years and years ago.
but see, one thing Donald Trump was extremely good at was non-disclosure agreements and ruining somebody's reputation, because he attacks people. He doesn't just let things go. When somebody attacks him, he attacks back, only he's a disgusting pig that will say and do anything. And that's what happened to E. Jean Carroll. That's what happened to a lot of these women. He is a sexual predator. Okay. We have established that now. He's a sexual predator that is still supported by like millions of people in this country. Okay. The E. Jean Carroll should prove to the whole, it should prove it. Donald Trump assaults women. He even said in his deposition that, oh yeah, for the last million years, which I don't understand where he got a million years from, celebrities. So apparently he thinks celebrities have been around for a million years. He says, fortunately or unfortunately, are basically allowed to do whatever they want to women. That was his excuse. He really thinks that because he's famous, that he can just go around assaulting and grabbing women wherever they want. And let's
Right.
not forget the whole grab them by the P
Right.
word. You know
But
what I
you know
mean?
what?
This is
When I first heard that, I sort of agreed with him on that. Coming from the entertainment industry, I've seen so much that has gone on there.
look at if
Um,
you want to think there's no corruption and like that, look at the film industry in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, women were treated like whores.
mhm.
They were treated so bad, disrespected. A lot of them had to have sex for parts in movies. I mean, that's
Mhm.
how they treated people, and Trump was part of that environment. So that's
Right,
what
but
he thinks.
here's my thing on that. For me, in my opinion, it wasn't to say that he was wrong or I didn't agree with what he said. It was to say that even if that is true, why are you publicizing that? Why are
Why would
you
you say
going
that?
public in it's been okay to grab them in the crotch area?
That's
What told
misogynistic right
him
there. I
that
mean,
it's okay to admit that as you're running for president?
we've established that Donald Trump is a racist who supports racist groups. We've established that he's a misogynistic pig who assaults women. And we've also established that he's probably the most corrupt businessman in the United States. And maybe let's go with four, probably the worst president, not probably, absolutely the worst president this country has ever seen. And it will take decades from us to recover from his narcissistic nightmare. I'll just say that. I mean, those are the things Donald Trump is. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this, I'm saying it, and it sounds harsh that I'm saying it, but that's what the evidence says. I'm not making any of this up. Okay. These are the
Well,
facts that are presented.
I would agree with you that in my opinion, he wasn't a good president, but some might differ with him being the worst president. Um, I don't have my facts with me right now, but I did read up that
Yeah.
there was one or two presidents
That was
that
more of my opinion, that
did
last one.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have put
I
that
did read up
disclosure
that
on
there
there,
was like
but
one or two presidents in the past that did far worse things than Trump
all right,
did.
we'll say top five.
Okay.
But again, like I said at the beginning, though, we are at the beginning of a racist militia movement in this country. Okay, these Proud Boys, they're not going away just because their leaders are gone. They don't care. They're proud of themselves. Remember, they're proud. That's why they cover their faces because they're proud of themselves. You know what I mean? They're not going anywhere. These people have adopted Hitler's ideals, Nazi party propaganda, and they would sacrifice everything. And the problem is we have people like this in the government now. They're not just people on the street anymore that are just
Yeah.
ignorant and running around and screaming and hollering at people. We have
Yeah.
people like in the government.
I mean, even some of the January 6th insurrectionists were either past or current military
Yeah,
folks,
and
right?
that bothers me to no end because my father was a patriot. He fought in 2 wars, raised me to be the man I am today. He was a patriot. These are fake ass patriots. Okay, being a patriot to Donald Trump is not being a patriot to the United States of America. Okay, if you're a patriot to America, you embrace its ideas, you embrace the Constitution, you embrace law and order, even if it's working against you. You can't be a
Yeah.
patriot to the United States and then shit on the Constitution and support people that
Yeah.
want to. They use words like eradicate. You know what I mean? That's World War II talk right there. That's stuff we cannot allow
Yeah.
to continue to grow.
I get sick to my stomach when I hear that word just bounced
Mm.
around, it's really nothing. So you're a
But I think
patriot only if you're kissing Donald Trump's ass.
no,
But if you're telling the truth, you're not a patriot. If you're defending your country, its rules, its rights, even if they're against what you want or what you want to do,
exactly.
you're not a patriot. If you're
Thank you.
against your own party, you're not a patriot. That's ridiculous.
And
That's
then
ridiculous.
let's
It also pisses me off when I hear them call their own Republicans rhinos. So if the Republican doesn't lie, that makes them a rhino. If he's not willing to kiss Trump's behind, that makes him a rhino. That's crazy.
this has grown into it's a cult. We call it what it is. It's a cult. It's not a party anymore. And I think people should look at the fact that these Proud Boys and Oath Keepers were convicted of seditious conspiracy. It's a huge deal because there are only a few more people left that were given the orders to the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, and they are in the government. We're talking people. I mean, who was involved with the insurrection on January 6th? We have more people to put in jail for seditious conspiracy, and Donald Trump is one of those possible people. That's why the conviction of seditious conspiracy, especially with Tario, because he wasn't even present for the January 6th insurrection, but he was still convicted of seditious conspiracy. So that tells you and everybody else that, hey, there are other people that weren't at the January 6th insurrection, but they were directly involved. So
Right.
that is also seditious conspiracy. Same charge. You just were running the show and haven't gotten convicted yet. So these guys should be pooping in their diapers, especially Trump, about that charge because that opens up the door. And I hope they slam
Well,
that door right on their head.
right. It's in the jury's hands. It's in the hands of the law officials, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, the
All right.
case with Jack Smith could be hundreds of charges that literally could be like triple digit charges
Right.
is very realistic on Jack Smith's case on
I
multiple
hear that.
levels with
I hear
multiple
that.
people.
All right. How about President Biden? He is running again for re-election. The polls have not been too kind to him. Um, Many Democrats do say that if this is what he plans to do, they're going to support him. But the polls still show on both Republican and Democratic side that the majority do not want either person to run, President Biden or former President Donald Trump. Um, what say you?
I think it's good right now. I think more than ever we need continuity. We don't need another changing of the leadership. I think Biden, even though I do worry about his age, because how I have an 80-year-old mother, you know what I mean. So I know what you know what I mean. And he has a lot more responsibility than my mother does. So I do worry about his age. However, if anything were to happen to him, and I need people need to realize this, uh, if he were to say step down, or if something were to happen tragic and he were to pass away, Kamala's there. She's competent. She's a good leader. She's doing her job. People say she's not doing enough, but she's behind the scenes doing what she needs to do to make sure this country is running smoothly. Okay. And
Right, she's
even if
obviously
something were to,
doing something or something good, because he
yeah,
wouldn't keep her around if she wasn't. My
no,
opinion.
I mean, no, absolutely not. And she would be, I think, a great leader. And on top of that, he has people in positions that they're supposed to be in, whereas Trump would just hire his buddies and put them in positions of power. Like, I mean, perfect example
Right.
is the Capitol architect that was fired by Biden. The guy was not a historian, not an architect, and he was responsible for the architecture of the Capitol building. And Donald Trump put him in that position. So we have,
Right, but we
as
know
long as
what
we have,
most of the qualifications were for the people that Trump had filled positions. There was one qualification and one qualification only, and that is your loyalty to Trump, kissing his behind. That's it. You didn't need experience. You just needed to hail to their king,
yeah, I
not
mean, he's
not
the
not the
chief, the
king,
king.
their king.
Yeah, their king. And yeah, but I think it's gonna be. I think it'll be okay as long as there's no. I mean, I don't know. These guys, these MAGA people are getting desperate, and the more desperate they get, the more dumb stuff they do. So it's gonna be interesting the next couple of years, or next year and a
Yeah,
half. It's gonna
yeah.
be a nightmare.
2024 is going to be one hell of a year. If we thought 2020 and 2022 was bad,
I
um,
think this will be the biggest election in U.S. history, and I think it'll be a
no
landslide.
doubt,
I
no
think
doubt,
it'll be a landslide
no
this
doubt.
time.
All right, North Carolina. So they have a have a majority proof legislation. You have a Democrat that switches to Republican after 6 7 months of being voted in as a Democrat and running on Democratic issues. Switches over, giving the Republican a majority proof to pass the abortion ban bill. I'm not sure how many weeks, 12 weeks, 6 weeks. What say you? Do you think that was
I
a
think that
do you think that was
I don't know.
a inside job?
I think yes. I think either one of two things could have possibly happened. She was planning on doing this the whole time, or whoever was planning on doing this the whole time, or there's money involved because it seems like Republicans love money and they love to give it to people to turn their way. So somebody needs to check her bank account. That's all I'm saying. Somebody needs to check her bank account and see how much money she got to turn Republican. She either did either that or they planned it the whole time,
It's a
and
fact.
they pretended to be a Democrat, pretended to have views they don't believe in. But you don't just go into office and go, "Oh, I'm in the wrong party. I should switch to the Republican." You don't do that. It's not.
You see, I
It's
thought when I first read this, I figured, you know what happened? She must really be a Republican, but they felt that with everything going on with Republicans not winning most of their races, let me go in as a Democrat. Let me pose as a Democrat because I'll have better luck winning my race as a Democrat. And then once I get in there, I'll switch. But I can't switch too fast because they'll know right away. So
right.
I'll wait 6 7 months as if
If
no one sees what they're doing, even after 6 7 months. That's what I believe.
Yeah, if that's the case, that shows you the level they'll roll in the stoop in order to get back into power. If this person really did scheme and lie their way into the position they're in, that just tells you what you need to know about what they're willing to do. You know what I mean? Imagine if this happened on a bigger scale. People pretending to be in other
Right.
parties just to get elected and then flipping once they're in office. Because we've figured out now that once they're in office, it's damn hard to get them out of office.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you got people like George Santos
Especially
still
as they're
making
trying to
200 a
change.
year.
Well, I was just going to say, especially as they're trying to change the rules once they get into office.
Yeah. It's I used this word yesterday, but this is inhumane what's going on in this country. The way the Republicans are treating the citizens, the average citizens of this country, is inhumane. It should be a crime what is being done to this country. Poverty is at a ridiculous level. Okay. Yes, Biden has produced more jobs, but wages are increasing. Okay. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. Over the last few years, food prices have skyrocketed. So your same food budget now buys less food. So if your wages aren't going up to keep up with the price of gas, the price of food, and all that stuff, then you're just manufacturing a country of poor people. If prices continue to go
Right.
up and wages do not go up or go down or whatever, you're just going to make people even more poor than they already are. And then the fact that they're trying to cut benefits from veterans and WIC and food stamps and education and health care, they hate the
Which is all
American
part.
people.
Which is all part of the Republicans' debt ceiling bill that they passed, right?
Oh my God, they want to. If they were to pass, all right, first of all they're doing is they're holding our entire economy hostage. Okay, two things could happen. If they have their way, tens of millions of people would lose benefits, lose money, food, housing, help with their electric bill. Like literally millions of people would be out without benefits, and it would cause absolute chaos. If they have their way, it would, or if they don't get their way, they're willing to sacrifice another Great Depression, which would affect every single person in this country except for the rich. And like you said
Yeah.
earlier, that bill does not affect one single rich person in this country. All it does is take away from people that already have nothing.
And that's what I don't get year after year after year, not just now, but year after year after year, when it comes time to negotiating bills and laws and stuff, why the Republicans are always so quick to diminish or decrease a social program or a bill that benefits the poor or the middle class, and they're quick to want to give money to the upper class, to the rich folks. But then when election times come, they're out telling all of the poor folk and the middle class that the Democrats are trying to do everything bad to you. I don't get it that the constituents continue to believe that and listen to that.
I think more marketing companies need to take responsibility for this. One, the news stations have to accept responsibility for the current state of the country. Two, social media like Facebook and Twitter allow disinformation, hate, nonsense
They
all
do
the time.
too much of it. They
They
do.
do. And then people like me get banned for talking the way I do. I got banned for literally doing what we're doing right now. It's talking out against ignorance, calling people out on their bullshit. That's what I do. And I got banned for that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene can attack trans people, can spout hate, information, misinformation, hate, nonsense all day long with just because she has a blue check mark and she gets likes. That's why she's on there. That's the only reason. But people like me can't use social media to fight against it because it's all controlled by these super rich people, man. Everything in this country is controlled by the super rich.
And
Even
that's
the
why
politicians.
we fight.
That's why we got to get corporate politicians out of the White House or out of the White House, out of the government, out of Congress. You want to ask why are some of these politicians that weren't worth nothing or were worth nothing before they got into Congress all of a sudden now they're worth billions of dollars? I'm pretty sure the pay is under 200 grand a year, and you've only been there 6 months. Now you're worth millions of dollars. Like, come on, man. That's people are paying you to make policies. That's what they're doing. People are paying to play.
Right.
You know what I mean? They want to talk about Biden doing pay to play. What the hell do you think MAGA Republicans are doing? They are in pockets of every corporation that runs this country, man. Think about it. I mean, the stuff they're doing is, like I said before, inhumane. It should be considered a crime. MAGA should be considered a domestic terrorist group and be done away with once and for all.
And hypocritical. The hypocrisy is at its all-time high. It's incredible of the amount of hypocrisy that goes on in Congress. Look at Clarence Thomas getting all of these gifts and stuff, and the Republicans are like, it's okay, he didn't do anything wrong. But you hear about Biden. Oh, well, we heard he might have taken some money from the sun and from China, but I thought you said that was okay.
I know they're doing it. It's do what I say, not what I do with these guys. It's completely do what I say, not what I do. And don't watch what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That's why they don't want people to be aware. That's why they hate this whole woke movement. They don't want people to be aware of what they're doing. But now with the age of information, we can fact check these idiots. They can't lie to us anymore. I mean, think about what they're doing and what they're trying to do would have worked in the 80s. What they're doing before the internet. Think if this would have happened. Think if Donald Trump did all this and this rage of Nazism in America would have happened in the 80s without the ability to fact check their information. I mean, we got all our information from newspapers and the news stations and the radio.
Social media wasn't a thing today and plays a big part in there. They used to say that Americans or people are short-minded, right? They'll forget what happened yesterday or last week. I don't believe that to be the fact of the case anymore. I mean, yeah, for some people, but because of the internet, social media, no, things stay sharp. You can go and find out how many shootings, how many deaths, how many whatever, just like this. So it's much harder for us to forget, right?
That, and it's a lot easier for us to find out if you're serious giving information or if you're just talking shit to try and get fear and votes. You know what I mean? That's all it comes down to.
Right.
But thank God for the internet sometimes. At the same time, though, like social media companies need to step up and do what's best for this country, not their bank accounts. Okay? You're talking about over 300 million lives at stake. And they allow them to treat us like puppets. You know what I mean? And I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired of these manipulating, conniving. I don't even know what to call them anymore. I mean, they're a terrorist organization. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And it doesn't please me to call any of my fellow American brothers and sisters terrorists, but if you can't accept someone else's point of view or feelings or lifestyle, and you're doing everything in your power to destroy them, to take away their freedoms because you don't agree with them, that's somewhat what a terrorist does. I mean,
now that you add the violence on top of it,
people do to us as Americans because they don't like our freedoms. They don't like our way of living, and so they terrorize us.
So, say a bunch of guys from another country came and organized these mass shootings. What if another country was the ones doing the mass shootings? We would be going to war with another country, but we don't seem to be doing a damn thing about the people that are shooting up our own country.
About our own.
You know what I mean? And 90+% of these shootings are done by right-wing extremists who have embraced a idea that should have died in the 40s. but apparently is alive and well and thriving in America.
I mean, I agree to a point that it may not seem like we're doing enough in regards to guns, but at the same time, you do have to treat Americans a little bit different from a non-American because they are an American. So you've gotta know what you're doing before you come against them with accusations and charges because they are a citizen of the United States of
Mm-hmm.
America, and I think that's
Now,
why it sometimes it takes too long
oh,
for
I want to
something
add
to
something.
happen.
I want to add something I think that is very important, and we're talking about with the budget plan. If this country goes into a next Great Depression, I don't think people can really fathom how bad it would be. And the only thing I think that would put this country into an actual civil conflict, because we're already in a social war. I mean, I think we could all
Right.
admit that we are definitely in a social war against some very hateful, ignorant people. But poverty, you're going to have people stealing, killing, doing whatever they have to do just to survive. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
kind of things you have to think about. I mean, I honestly think they want that to happen so they can just put in their authoritarian
Right.
kingdom or whatever they want to call it.
Great
To me, it just seems
hypothesis.
like they're trying to make us fail. They want us to up. They want us to kill each other. They want us to. I mean, it's obvious they don't care about poor people. They haven't done a damn thing since they've been in office the last 6 months to help a single poor person. All the bills have been to defund this, defund that, take away this, take away that. Here's less freedom for you. Here's a new law that takes away your bodily rights. I mean, that's the stuff that's happening right now. I don't think it'll
Right.
last, but I think this hopefully is a starting point to building a stronger country. If we come out of this, the democracy will be stronger. There'll be a deeper belief in the Constitution and what it represents. And I have to believe that most Americans embrace what America should stand for, which is freedom, unity, equality, understanding, love. That to me is what America
Love.
should be. It's not what America is, but it's what we
Love.
could be. We could be that if we
Right.
were to come together, unite, but despite our differences, for the sake of a country. Do it for your kids.
That's
Do it for
right.
your family. Do it for yourself. We have to be
That's right.
better people.
Love. Life is too short to go on without love, without uniting with one another. Who wants to fight all their life? It's sad, but it's reality.
It is.
Hey Jeremy, as we wrap
Yep.
up this week's week in review, why don't you share with the audience your handle?
Oh yeah. All right. So on Facebook, it's just Jeremy Baker, and they have the upside down American flag in the background. That'll be me. On Instagram and Clapper, it is at SGT Nobody 77, and then those are the only three I'm on right
Excellent,
now. So check me
excellent,
out.
excellent.
Appreciate the support.
Thank you, Jeremy. We
Yep.
appreciate you and your opinions as well.
Appreciate you
Um,
having me.
that will be a wrap for this week's week in review. Join us again next week as we see what's gonna go down this week.
Man.
That's gonna be the wow factor, cause doesn't seem like a week goes by without a wow factor. If you have any comments or questions, or even any topic ideas that you would like to share, you can do that on any of the social media platforms at the Esteban Hour. Um, Please, it's always nice and generous to share the live and talk to your friends and your family members in regards to the Esteban Hour. We will be back on Friday for our weekly podcast. This week will be on business and budgeting. Today's economy, how inflation is high, even though it's coming down. It's even more essential to have your business affairs in order and to have a budget, to set a budget with reasonable terms for yourself. So as though you know what you're spending on food, what you're spending on entertainment, clothing, transportation, and so on. And that's what we will talk about this week. Again, we thank Jeremy Baker for his input, as you will see him next week as well. And as always told, if you have a goal that you've achieved or accomplished today, don't forget to say to yourself, this is how we do it.